Hi, this is Nick Dragata at Heroes Con, and you're listening to 11 O'Clock Comics.
Hello folks, welcome to 11 O'Clock Comics. This is episode 1004. Got something fun lined up for you tonight. This is one of your hosts. My name is David A. Price, and with me is...
Coming at you straight from the skies above, I'm Mr. Raymond Heavy Harris.
Oh, you are not! You are not! You are not heavy. You are not one of the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 atomics. You are none other than Jason Wood. Welcome, my friend.
What up?
It feels like we just wrapped up an episode, and now we have this episode. I mean, full disclosure for transparency, we're recording much earlier in the week this week because this weekend is Baltimore Comic-Con. Jason and I are driving down Thursday, so obviously our usual Thursday evening recording wasn't going to happen. So to make sure that we can get everything nice and tight and right for your ears, we're recording early this week, so we have everything and leaving nothing to chance for later in the week for anything for any screw ups. But we can talk about some of the news from New York Comic Con tonight. We can talk about we could touch on the lovely dinner and what followed on Thursday night last week, as we get ready for Baltimore Comic Con, and we have some books to discuss tonight, and I think this is going to be one of those rare solo, no other except one singular publisher episode. But first, we have this episode, as always, brought to you by our sponsors, cheapgraphicnovels.com. The weekly specials went up early this afternoon. They'll be posted on the Slack. By the time you hear this, any of the patrons on the Slack will be able to read the specials that we carefully curated just for you. But some of the specials I would like to bring to your attention include DC Finest Supergirl, Body and Soul trade paperback for $23.99. Linda Danvers was headed down a dark path. Her rebellious nature strained her relationship with her parents. She struggled to make ends meet as an artist, and her dubious boyfriend Buzz's obsession with the occult led her to being sacrificed during a botched ritual. But that wasn't the end of Linda. While investigating the cult that Buzz was involved with, Matrix, the protoplasmic entity posing as the current Supergirl, came across the near-dead Linda and saved her by fusing the two of them together into a single being. Now, sharing Matrix's memories and powers, Linda is more than just a super fan. She is the new Girl of Steel. Watch out, world. Supergirl is back. DC Finest Supergirl Body and Soul marks the beginning of acclaimed writer Peter David's astonishing reinvention of Supergirl with artists Gary Frank and Cam Smith, featuring stories published between September 1996 and February 1998. This volume collects tales from Showcase 96 number 8, Supergirl numbers 1 through 18, Supergirl Annuals numbers 1 and 2, and Supergirl Plus number 1. This was during the Triangle era. Matrix, or Supergirl, was more or less the girlfriend, I'm using air quotes here, of Lex Luthor II, the Australian son of Lex Luthor, who, of course, unfortunately passed away due to his infatuation with kryptonite and the radiation that leaked into his body with his funky little kryptonite signet ring he was wearing all the time. Also, Let This One Be a Devil, Volume 1, trade paperback for $17.49. In the early 1900s, Henry Naughton returns home to the family farm in the swampy Pine Barrens of southern New Jersey. One night, he encounters a strange predator stalking the woods. This sends the young scholar on a research project that uncovers the legend of Mother Leeds and the terrible birth of the Jersey Devil in 1735. James Dean IV and Steve Fox, along with Peter Kowalski, bring the Jersey Devil to life in a supernatural tale of horror that peels back unknown layers of history and reveals local monsters and universal terrors, collecting the 4-issue miniseries. And finally for this week, Superman, the Triangle Era Omnibus, Volume 2, hardcover for $89.89, which is on its way to me as we speak. The 1990s saw a new wave of creative vitality and fan interest in comics' original superhero, with 4 tightly connected monthly series bringing the Man of Steel to new heights: Superman, Adventures of Superman, Action Comics, and Superman, the Man of Steel. These 4 series, while continuing to retain their own distinct voices, worked closely in tandem with each other, telling a detailed, larger narrative of Superman's never-ending battle. In turn, DC added numbered triangle icons to each cover, indicating to readers exactly where in the story a given Superman issue would fall, ushering in what readers fondly remember as the Triangle Era. The second omnibus volume collecting the era includes the headline-making, world-famous Death of Superman stories and the events leading up to that pivotal moment in comics history. This collects Superman numbers 64 through 77, Adventures of Superman 487 through 499, Action Comics numbers 674 through 686, Superman the Man of Steel numbers 9 through 21, Justice League of America number 69, Superman the Legacy of Superman number 1, Supergirl Team Luthor Special number 1, and News Time, The Life and Death of Superman number 1, with a new introduction by Mike Carlin. That News Time is pretty much like a Newsweek or Time magazine knockoff, similar to what Marvel was doing with their Marvel Year in Review, mimicking Time magazine, or even the Marvel swimsuit magazines. But those are 3 books that I'm looking forward to. Well, the Peter David Supergirl stuff is great. Let This One Be a Devil, of course, Vince was talking about as that was coming out, and I'd probably be flogged if I didn't mention the Triangle Era Omnibus. So there's your specials for this week. Now we can get to the even more fun stuff. How you been, Jason?
Good, my dude. Yeah, I mean, what did you think of any New York Comic Con news that really struck your fancy? I mean, for me, I think it's the biggest news is the Vertigo, yet another return of Vertigo comics, which I realize, of course, that for some this won't be as meaningful as others, depending on your age and how much Vertigo meant to you. I know for all of us, Vertigo meant a hell of a lot, at least in its original incarnation. And I can't say I was too invested in the last incarnation, so it's not like this is guaranteed to be awesome. But I'm always going to give it a chance because of the spiritual connotation of what that imprint has always meant. And so they're not half stepping. They announced 10 new series, which is a hell of a launch, including The Nice House by the Sea, second arc, of course, which is Tinian and Alvaro Martinez Bueno and Jordi Belair's awesome book. This will be the third of the Nice House series. Then there's a book called Bleeding Hearts by Dennis Camp. I'm probably saying the name wrong. Stepan Morian and Matt Hollingsworth, which I guess is a zombie love story. Then our boo Kyle Starks has got his first ever Vertigo book with Steve Pugh called End of Life. It's about a hitman that has to return to his Midwestern hometown to take care of his dying father. Sounds right up his alley. Chris Condon, who I have to admit, he seems to be very much an up-and-comer. The stuff I've read of his hasn't fully connected with me, but I know he's well regarded by a lot of people. He and Jacob Phillips, which piques my interest, are doing a book called The Peril of Brutal Dark, an Ezra Kane mystery. It's a noir detective story in a fascist fantasy world. So I say that sounds good in theory, but the fascist fantasy world has me thinking it's going to be a little too on the nose with where we are right now as a society, in which case I probably will not be into it, but I'll give it a try. Far and away, of course, the one that I am the most excited for is 100 Bullets, the U.S. of Anger, which is Azzarello and Risso coming back to give us new 100 Bullets. I am beyond excited for that, needless to say. It's been a long time. We had a Brother Lono miniseries a bunch of years ago, but that's been it. We've got a series called The Black Tower, The Raven Conspiracy by Ram V and Mike Perkins. Nice to see Mike Perkins' name back out there. I don't remember the last time I read a Mike Perkins comic. And that's a high fantasy sort of magic and sorcery story set during the UK during, I think, World War II. There's Necretaceous, which is a great name for a comic, by the way. Written by Tom Taylor with art by Derek Robertson, another name we haven't seen in a bit. Scientists trying to stop a zombie virus time travel back to the dinosaur era. Got a book called Fanatic, which is by a team of creators I'm not too familiar with, Grace Ellis and Hannah Templer. And that's listed as a woman obsessed with a comic book fixates on its creator. So it seems like it's kind of like one of those meta type of books. We've got The Crying Doll by Mariko Tamaki and Rosemary Valero O'Connell, which is an absolute powerhouse of a tandem on the both very well known, of course, for their indie comics. We've talked about, I think, all of them, their respective works over the years on the show. And this one is a young woman tries to protect her best friend who may be a killer. And last but not least, we have A Walking Shadow by Cy Spurrier and Aaron Campbell. And the premise is simple, but I think intriguing. 8 strangers are chained to a boat in the woods, which sounds eerie as fuck. So, yeah, very excited that Vertigo's coming back. I believe all of these will start hitting our shelves in February of 2026. And I can't wait. It's going to be awesome.
You think it's going to be awesome.
Oh, sucky! Oh,
so?
yeah.
Yeah, it's probably going to suck.
Motherfuck.
What it do?
How's that going, buddy?
You tell us.
Do?
How you doing, brother?
I'm doing all right.
You sound great.
I sound a lot better than I should. You're right. But I wanted to jump in a little bit to alleviate some of the rumors going around.
Oh, the rumors. Innuendo.
Yeah. And there are many of them.
Sure.
Yeah, a lot of people think I'm mad at David or Jason or both. It's not that. It's really. I'm not mad at anyone. I'm not an alcoholic. You know.
Although we kind of wish you were at this point.
Yeah.
For being honest.
I didn't have a stroke. But what the deal is if you remember, a long time ago, I had cancer. I had Hodgkin's lymphoma. And I beat it really easy. Well, it wasn't so easy, but I beat it. And they think that the chemo, how they gave me the chemo the first time, is they dormant and is now a secondary cancer 27, 28 years later. So that's basically it. I mean, there's no way to sugarcoat it. There's no way to, make it sound more interesting than it is. I have cancer again. And it's metastasized. It started in the wind
Esophagus.
Esophagus, and it metastasized to the brain. I had 2 brain surgeries. One I had on a Tuesday, and one I had on Wednesday.
That's busy week.
Nuts. And then I started my chemo not last week, the week before was the first round. So the prognosis is really, really good. I mean, otherwise I'd be screaming. As you can imagine, a 60-year-old dude. It's weird because I had my first cancer when Nina was 1. Less than 1.
Oh, man, that's crazy. And now the baby.
And now the baby. Now her baby is less than 1, and I have cancer again. But the prognosis is really good because I have a genetic disposition to getting better quicker and more easily.
You're a fucking
Then
mutant. That's what it comes down to.
Something about I have a there's one of the drugs that they're using on me. I have a genetic marker that makes curing cancer easier if I had the genetic marker, and I
Right.
have it.
Yeah.
And it's like, what the hell? Like, how does this happen? But it did. It did. And I know everybody loves a list. If I went through a list of all of the people that reached out to me, it would be stupid. If you're on Slack, 99.9% of the people reached out to me, and I felt bad because at the time I wasn't ready to be the guy that has the speech impediment and cancer again. You know what I mean? Like, I wasn't looking for the sympathy card,
Sure.
but I'd be doing myself a disservice by not coming on when I can, because yeah.
Yeah, listen. I mean, as you know, as of people reaching out to you, a million people reach out to us too, and obviously
Yeah.
we've been, just saying you're dealing with stuff, and that you'll speak on it or be back when you can, and
Yeah, I wasn't lying. I wasn't hiding anything.
no, people
I,
understand that. I mean,
I just don't know. Oh, now I know.
yeah,
I wasn't ready to tell anybody.
yeah,
Yeah.
understandable completely, man. I mean,
Yeah, and if I don't feel like speaking to someone, I'm sure
yeah.
not going to sit behind a keyboard and start typing away or sending messages or whatnot. So yeah, no, I completely
Right.
understand.
I'm not a dick. I'm really not. I just didn't feel like if I told it to one person, then and if it got out, I know exactly who was responsible would
Sure.
be this person. If I told five people, I picked my favorites, then it would be harder to tell how it got out, but it still would be difficult. You know what I mean? So I didn't pick anyone.
Yeah,
Matthew Allison emailed me, Mario, Ray.
Sure. Yeah.
I go down
Yeah.
the whole list, and I felt some kind of way. I felt bad, so I'm telling you all at the same time, I love you, and I would never leave you.
Yeah, I mean, again, I think once people hear it, they'll I gotta be. I mean, not just that. Everybody's been totally cool. Like even on the Facebook, like some people that that aren't patrons, just listeners, were like, hey, what's going on with Vince? Like, I really miss him on the show, and like love to know what's going on with him. And I just said, listen, I mean, first of all, much love. Like, it means we know how much that, and we'll pass the word on. I was like, but second of all, like, it's really like nobody's business. I'm like, beyond all you need to know is that he's fine. He's working on stuff he's got to work on, and he'll come back when he can. I'm like, that's
Right.
all. But everyone was, but the important, like, nobody's been like, well, that's bullshit, or why I deserve to know. Like, everyone's been like, no, I get it. Like, he must. No, you know what I mean. Like, I think
Yeah.
everyone's been very, very, like, I can't think of a person that I thought like
Extremely
that I thought was being an
understanding.
asshole about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, even the folks at Felix's dinner Thursday night. I mean, everybody. Which I mean, that shouldn't be a surprise or be unusual or anything like that. Obviously, people are, but I mean, people beyond the Slack and the patrons and the Facebook group, like people who just know you from the podcast and other creators or even patrons from Felix. They've just everybody who knows you or has heard you at some point was asking us. So it's
That's good. I mean,
it's far-reaching.
it's nice. It's comforting in a way
Yeah.
to realize that, like it or not, I mean something to these people. I'm a clown, and I make their day, easier than great. I love you guys.
Yeah. You've been busy, so I don't even know if you had a chance to, or even were interested in listening to episode 1000 since you couldn't be a part of it. But I mean, I was verklempt about it because it was really, we didn't intend for it to be what it became, which was just a bunch of people talking about how much the show means to them and what it's done for them. And it was really very affirming. And it made like this crazy fucking journey we've been on for 17 years feel like it had some purpose beyond just like our own egos.
It is worth something. Yeah.
Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah.
I get it. And, I have to give it up to my wife. I don't want to, but I have to. Mm-hmm.
You do.
Well, we would if you didn't. So
that she kept me connected to you two, and even though I was very reluctant to text or Slack or anything like that, she kept it together, and she sent photos. So.
People that have been listening to this show for a long time know that you'll poke fun at your wife occasionally, and so
it's more than occasionally.
I know, but in all seriousness, though, to your point, your wife has been incredible. She and Dap and I have a little text group that she's texts pretty much almost every day, I'd say, really, since you've been dealing with this stuff, just updating us what's going on, your appointments, the results, the procedures, how you're feeling. And she confirms, which you attest to as well, that you're grumpy, which is understandable.
Yeah, I'm pretty bad.
But I don't blame you. But yeah, man. It's beautiful to hear you on here for sure. And how's your energy? Like, are you finding time to you doing any reading? You doing any any YouTubing? You having do you have the energy to do that shit or
every day YouTube?
Yeah. Yeah.
The streaming services are shit. They're really bad. For the most part, I've been trying to keep up on new comics. With DC, I have to say that I'm incredibly tired of Darkseid.
Yeah, right.
He is everywhere. Darkseid is, bro.
Yeah.
He is everywhere.
Yeah, Darkseid is.
DCKO, I was very interested in it going in, and then it turned into a Darkseid O-Rama. And it's just like, oh, well, I guess I'm not reading any more of this. And that's weird for me to say, because Darkseid should be the Doctor Doom of the DC universe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? But,
but it's so much and so often.
It
there's
wasn't
no breathing room
enjoyable at all. And then the Deadpool Batman thing was the same garbage.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and that was terrible.
Yeah, we didn't even talk about it. We did not even talk about it.
We didn't talk about it because it was so bad. I think we both just knew we just didn't want to shit on it for 20 minutes. But yeah, it was rough.
What are we gonna do? Are we gonna is Capullo relegated to that category for the Romita Juniors? Like, he seems to be just doing it. Just doing it.
Yeah, he's just We actually segue. We were. I was standing shoulder to shoulder with Poppy Capullo on Thursday.
Your shoulder, his.
Well, that's true.
Head,
he was face to shoulder. It was his face to my shoulder. But
it's not a tall.
Because we of course did the Felix dinner. You were missed, as Dap said. Good times. We had. I'll never get the name right, but we went to a Chinese dumpling place, and Felix ordered. He basically just told them. I think he just told them just to bring the menu, and so we had about 1,000 different kinds of dumplings and other kinds of Chinese food, ate mass quantities, and then we're doing the post dinner, kind of like everyone's standing around just talking to each other at the restaurant, and Felix is like, "You guys coming?" And we're like, meaning we thought he meant like it was time to go. We're like, we're ready, and he's like, "No, I mean, are you going to come to the party?" And we're like, "What are you fucking talking about, dude? Party? Like what?" And he's like, he's like Scott Snyder's having a party tonight at a speakeasy downtown. You guys are invited. Like, come with us in the village. So we're like, all right, fuck it. So we hopped in an Uber with Dap and I rode Chang, and we a bunch of 4 or 5 different Ubers all rolled down, big congregation, and we went down to this little fucking spot, true speakeasy. It's like you go down like an alley, like downstairs. You don't see anything from the street. Go through an alley and then come back up another set of stairs, and then there's a bouncer there, and then you go in, and it's a fucking old timey speakeasy, and you walk in, and it's fucking packed, and literally it was like every comics person you've ever seen, like James Tynan's over here,
Jerry
Poppy
Duggan,
Capullo's over here, Jerry Duggan. Well, we got to meet Jerry Duggan. We actually
I was talking to Jerry Duggan for a bit. Yep.
But like literally, it was crazy. It was like a DC who's who, and Dan Theo was there. Like I don't think Jim Lee was there, but like, and I'm looking around, and like the only person that wasn't there was Tom. And I texted him after. I was like, "What the fuck weren't you at the party for?" He's like, "I was busy." I'm like, "All right," but it was trippy. It was trippy. It was crowded and loud. And I mean, Dap and I probably only stayed like an hour. I mean, we got
Not
like,
even. I'd be surprised.
Yeah, not even, right. Yeah, but we we did some schmoozing, had a couple cocktails, and said our hellos to everybody, and then bounced.
It was so loud and dark. That was the problem. It was loud and dark.
It was really loud. Yeah, I'm too old for parties like that. But
well, I'm looking forward to all the voicemails that you recorded.
It was loud and dark.
How many bumpers we got, because you're like, well, damn, our homie couldn't make it. Our homie couldn't be here, and we know how much you want. Yeah. You joke though, but we're going to be in Baltimore this weekend, and we're going to get a lot of bumpers because there's nothing else to do. Vince, you'd be so proud of me.
Roll it back. Wait. What? Roll it back just a little bit.
Okay.
We go into this room, and there's everybody who's ever done work for DC in this room.
Yeah.
And we don't get any intros.
But you couldn't. No, dude,
I'm not going to interrupt the conversation going, "Hey, you don't know me, but." You would, yes, of course.
Noise cancellation?
Yeah, I did.
Okay,
there's ways to do it, but still, I'm giving you. Wow, he's breaking up.
Yeah, it broke up big time, right? Yeah.
But listening back to the recording, it's
crazy.
not.
His mic. I think he broke his mic yelling at you.
That's okay. I'm used to it.
No, but we're going to get a shit. We're going to get a shit ton of bumpers because
all right,
you'll be proud of me. Right. Guess how many commissions I've lined up for Baltimore.
72.
One, dog. Just one.
Wow.
You'll never guess who it's by, though.
Who's the one?
Andrew Kroenke.
Yeah, I was going to say top tier, but not so much. He's
I just said
good.
Andrew Kroenke. Andrew Kroenke.
Yeah, Andrew's very good, but he's not like, Liefeld.
No, he's been coming. No, yeah, we met at Heroes, and he did a he did a Firefly for me because he did that. He's been doing the GI Joe stuff, so he did a Firefly for me, and then I'm running it back with him to do a beachhead. But that's literally the only art I have set up, so I'll have all the time in the world to do bumpers because I damn sure ain't going to be bin diving. So
what's wrong with that? Dad, I got to start getting on the convention.
Yes.
Again.
Yes, you do.
Yeah, you do.
It's ridiculous that you should go to a con and not bin dive.
Bro, I mean,
leave them there. Yeah, I mean, get rid of them. That's all there's to it.
There's going to be plenty of people there to bin dive with that.
Now you're punting them off,
right?
I mean, it's what I do at a con.
It is true. That is very true.
Well, that's it. That's all I wanted to say. I'm getting tired.
All right.
Yeah, I don't want to push it too much. Yeah, and even though I'll occasionally screw up a word here and there, so what?
No, you sound great too. You really do.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously no pressure, but I'm sure that now that people have heard that you're A, alive, and B, not mad at us, the probably next question we'll get is, are you planning on coming back regularly? And I would imagine the answer is when you have the energy to, right?
When I have the energy, yes, I have to come back every week.
Oh, perfect. Okay.
Yeah, nice. This is we're three. We're not two.
Yes.
We're three.
Yes.
No offense. No offense. No.
What offense?
Hey, as the listeners may or may not know, because we didn't want to get into it, but as you know, when you told us what was going on, we were like, "You have the ball, dude. Do you want us to stop the show? Do you want us to keep the show going?" No, we assumed that you wouldn't want us to, but our point is that we were willing to do whatever. EOC would have ended a month and a half ago if that was the spiritual right thing to do. If that's what you wanted. We knew you wouldn't want it, but yeah. So.
No.
Yeah.
But everybody who is listening to the sound of my voice, I love you. I will be back. I'm planning on it. Thanks for your interest, your concern, your care, your love, all that stuff. You're not going to get rid of me that easy.
My man.
Yeah.
All right. Love you, brother.
I love you too.
Love you too.
All right. Be well.
I love you.
Love you.
There you have it.
Fucking hell. Oh my God, Nightmare. We can end the episode here. We don't even have to talk about books.
The long-awaited triumphant return.
Oh my God. Holy crap. All right. Well, that that made my night. I'm good now for the rest of the week. And now, that will. It's another reason why I'm glad we did this before heading down to Baltimore, because now anybody who sees us or any of our friends, that's now a question we really don't have to answer this weekend. And so you heard it right from the horse's mouth.
Absolutely.
It's one. And yeah, and
Or boo.
obviously we weren't, as he said,
that anti-life equation working for him.
Dude, speaking of Dark Side, it's just oh man, it was so good to hear his voice. And naturally he's going to chime in right when we're talking about the Vertigo stuff. Were the other Nice House series, were they under Black Label? Were they under any sort of imprint, or were they just like a DC?
Yeah, they started as Black.
Okay.
I believe it was Black Label. I might be wrong about that though. I assume they were. I feel like he was one of the big. Yeah, but that's good. I think it
would make sense. I would assume they are.
Double check here.
Yeah. Now, do we know anything about the 100 Bullets? Is it an ongoing? Is it a limited series?
It was Black Label.
Okay. Okay.
No, I think it's the intent is an ongoing. I think to be ongoing, but I don't know that there was much said about it beyond that. I think it's. I would imagine it's going to be as long as the sales allow for it. Right?
Sure.
That's the new world that we live in. So,
that is true.
That's my assumption.
One title I saw which surprised. I saw a lot of upcoming. Like I guess we're now in a new era of a lot of publishers crossing over with other publishers. One, of course, is Swamp Thing is Killing the Children, which is a pretty nifty title by itself. But no, as far as the biggest news for me from the weekend, would have to be the new, upcoming, ongoing Lobo series written by none other than Scotty Young.
Oh yeah,
dude! And naturally, and it's going to look gorgeous because it's going to be drawn by Jorge Corona, of course. His collaborator, DWJ's collaborator on Transformers. Jorge's an amazing artist, and I can already envision his version of Lobo. It really does. It's a great fit. According to Scotty, if Jorge wasn't attached to the project, Scotty wouldn't be writing it. So I am extremely happy for this creative team and the whole team, because not only is Francis involved coloring, but you also or Jean Francis, and you also have Jean Francois, but you also Scotty's editor from Strange Academy is going to be the editor on the Lobo series. So it's the whole thing is in great hands. I'm extremely excited for it. I can't wait to read a Lobo ongoing again, and I know Scotty's got his personality alone, but I mean he's written Deadpool. He knows, he's written Gert. He knows sarcasm. He knows how to. It's going to be a blast. I can't wait to see him take on the DC universe in this way, and it's going to look great. So I'm extremely excited for that. I did not look for a ton of news from the weekend. I just know that we were told Thursday night that Thursday day at the convention felt, by those who were there, felt like a Saturday, which just blows my mind and made me pucker up a little bit for how busy the rest of the weekend would be if Thursday alone was kind of that crowded. So I haven't looked at the number. Have you seen any of the numbers as far as attendance?
No, I haven't actually. I mean, no, they usually put out a press release sort of summarizing things, but I feel like that'll be coming later this week.
Okay.
I mean, I know. Okay, so I'm looking here. They I mean, this is all obviously their numbers, so I don't know. I assume they're relatively accurate, but they contend that that each of 2022, 2023, and 2024 all had over 200,000 attendees. So I assume we'll be getting some announcement that it at least did that again. Interestingly, the peak attendance was in 2019 when they had 260,000 attendees, which was obviously the last one before the pandemic. So that's pretty crazy.
Wow.
That seems almost impossible, but yeah, it's always ridiculous. I mean, I'm pretty sure it's as large, if not larger, than San Diego, all things considered these days. But I feel like it's still not. It's like I don't think the world views it as the Comic-Con. I think the world still views San Diego as the Comic-Con. But I think from a pure attendance perspective, New York's the biggest these days.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. Based on what I've seen, yeah. It's either New York, well, obviously out here, and then it's San Diego's just its own thing. Oh man, okay. And kind of calm down. Talk about some comics
Before
tonight.
we move on, we should. I just want to give a little more detail.
Go for it.
Are you hearing me in a lag? Because I feel like we're
Yes.
talking over each other.
I am.
I don't know what's going on. Like, okay. Um, okay. So we'll have to pause before we speak so that we don't talk over each other. No, I was just going to say that that the dinner. I think I just want to give a little more detail on the dinner because it's always a highlight. But Thursday night, like I said, you and I had we had a great time. Wanted to shout out Yams on the air because our boy got a documentary film that he made himself, created and directed, and it got submitted to a California film festival and won the award for best documentary, and it's now going around the film festival circuit, or at least hopes to. So shouts to our boy Yams. It's like a lifelong passion project that he finally achieved. So I thought that was awesome. We heard all about that. Dap, you and I sat at a table with an absolute cavalcade of world-class collectors. They put our meager collections to shame many times over. They have pages that literally would cost someone. Many of our listeners would have to sell their home to buy some of the pages that these guys were talking about owning. But it was super fun. Shout out to Gene Park and Yo Curry and I didn't catch what was the gentleman's name from Brazil that you sat next to? I didn't catch his name.
I did. Oh man, no, I forgot it afterwards. Yeah, no.
Okay, that's all good. And of course Felix and Lamb, and then from a creator perspective, we had a lot of the usual suspects. Of course, Paul Pope, and for the 5th year in a row, he swore to Dap that he's going to come on the show. We shall see. But this time, maybe it'll be real because you've got his actual digits. Of course, our boy Sanford, a D-Dub. We had a great time talking to Dan all night, really, at the dinner and at the after party at Snyder's. We got some interesting tea on the end of Transformers that I don't think we have the clearance to talk about on the air, but it was interesting hearing his thoughts on wrapping up, that epic 24-issue run. I told him that I had just read the finale and talked about it on last week's episode, and he seemed very grateful for all the love and support it got. And he's hard at work on his next thing, which we know what it is, but again, I think we're embargoed on that, at least for now, but maybe we can have him back on the show when he's ready to talk about it. Really had a fun time, honestly, sitting down and talking with Nick Dragata, especially at the after party. Nick is a fellow Philly sports fan, so we were actually commiserating together at the bar because the Eagles were in the process of getting their asses kicked by the New York Giants while we were all at this party, and we were lamenting that. But in all seriousness, it was super cool. For those that probably aren't going to be surprised to hear this, Nick was one of the, if not the biggest draws in New York Comic Con, along with Scott, because of Absolute Batman. Felix says he's never seen a line for one of his crew like this before, and that's saying a lot because pretty much any time they go to a con, they have multiple creators with nonstop lines all weekend. So Nick is definitely in his bag right now. Just and it's really great because he's a dude that's been at this for a long time, and he seems genuinely grateful and kind of gobsmacked at the magnitude of the success, which I love to see. And it's definitely obviously life changing for him, both financially and I think just spiritually, right? Just kind of very it's affirming when you do something for a career and then you get to a point where literally, like, it seems like, the whole industry is just in love with what you're doing, and that's got to be really cool to see. And he seemed really psyched about it, and he also said he really would love to come back on the show and chop it up with us. So I said we'll make that happen. Who else? We like you said, we met um, uh, uh, who did we meet, Dat? Jerry Duggan. We met Jerry Duggan. It was escaping me.
Yep. We
Jerry
saw.
Duggan. Yes.
Talked to Jerry Duggan for a bit. You said who was there? You said Sweeney Boo was there. Yeah,
Sweeney Boo was there. Declan.
Yeah, you knew a lot
Declan
of faces
for like a minute because.
Yep.
Yep. Tynan was there. Didn't speak to Tynan, but he was there. Who else? Yeah, no, but it was just super cool, man. It was a blast, Who's the gentleman that we met that was at the Felix dinner and he came to the party with us, and then we were talking to him at the bar. He's got a comic coming out. Listens to the show.
Yes, from Boise, Idaho.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh man, I suck so much. I don't think it was Kevin. Feel free to write to me and kick my ass because I did not. I normally I write these things down, but again, and it's no excuse.
Yeah,
I'm not blaming the speakeasy. I'm not blaming the occasion. But it was impossible for me to keep track of things Thursday night.
Yeah, tip of my tongue. Also, we very briefly got a chance to meet Danny Earl, who is the newest member of the Felix crew, and his wife. Got to quick say hello to Hayden Sherman, who we got to know a bit last year at the dinner and at this table, but he was also at the dinner again. Stephen Green was there per usual. Is my our buddy. We always chop it up with him. I'm trying to think who else was there. I don't want to leave anybody else out, but. Ian Bertram was there, although he didn't come to the party, but he was at the dinner. Steve McNiven was at the dinner, although I didn't speak to him this year. We met last year at the dinner, but he was there. It's hard to miss him. He's a tall drink of water. I think that's it for the creators. I'm trying to think. I think that's it because I don't think Steggy wasn't there.
Nope.
This year Trad wasn't there. As we mentioned when we were talking to Vince, we rode a 20-minute Uber ride with Cliff Chang, caught up with him, fellow Jersey, shout out Jersey represent. Although he misses Brooklyn, it sounds like, and it was just a fun night, man. It was a really fun night. It really got me psyched for the upcoming weekend for Baltimore Con, and it was a nice nice codifying experience, as it always is. The dinner's always a highlight of the year.
Yes. Oh, the one lone woman artist was who? What?
Yuku Shimizu. Yeah,
that's a Yuku. Yes.
Yeah, Yuku Shimizu. Yeah.
The one who Sanford said when he asked if she'd do a cover for him, and she said, "You can't afford me."
So yeah, I mean, New York Comic Con is always. Go ahead. Well, yeah, he could very much afford her, but yeah, she was stunting. She was stunting, but yeah. So we'll see, man. We'll see if Paul Pope finally comes on, but you never say never, right? And in terms of the rest of New York Comic Con, I don't think there was any like earth-shattering news beyond what we talked about. A lot of TV news from Marvel. Comics-wise, though, I don't think there was anything else too crazy. Energon Universe panel, I mean, they kind of talked about they hinted at some things coming up, but nothing concrete. Kirkman he was running things there. I don't know. Like, these shows are rarely, I guess because it's the internet era, I feel like they're rarely like places that break news anymore. Because news just kind of comes out in its own life cycle these days. But nevertheless, man, it's con season, of course. And then you and I will be embarking on Thursday for Baltimore for the first time in over a decade. I'm trying to think when did we go? It was at least a decade ago, right?
2012, I think.
It was that long ago?
I think so.
Holy shit! I didn't. I can tell you right now. I will check on this. I know that I got a Jorge Corona Beast commission at that show. I will see when it was. It was. Okay, let's see here.
I should see if Starlin
It was
dated
2014.
Oh,
Oh no,
all right.
2013. I uploaded it in 2014, but it was 2013. Baltimore Comic Con 2013. So yeah, it was 12 years ago.
Damn. We are overdue. I'm looking forward to it.
Samesies.
All right. As we teased before, this is a single publisher episode. Now that we've at least talked about the New York Comic Con news, and that's the most you'll hear about any other publisher tonight. So this is going to be an Image-O-Rama. Nothing but Image, and it should be fun because looking perfect. We're going to have a looking at our lists. We'll be able to sort of kind of tag team because again, full disclosure, there's a bit of a lag as you folks may be hearing. So there's a lot of things that Jason and I both read. So I'm looking forward to hearing his thoughts on things. Is there anything you would like to start with?
Let's start with the Unchosen because I didn't read that. Wasn't on my radar, honestly, until you put it on your list. And so I read that purely so that we could collab or I could talk to you about a book you seem to be into. So I was pretty much, other than the solicit, I was not really aware about this book at all until you put it on my radar.
Pretty much. I think I was aware of it with maybe the second or third issue. That's when I finally noticed it. So then I went back and found the earlier preview issues. My reason for even checking this out is because I don't talk about it, and I don't talk about this artist enough. I don't know what it is. Well, it's the art, but I really, really, really like David Marquez's artwork, and I'm unfamiliar with any of his writing. This may, in fact, be his first written, the first story that he himself has written. But I very, very much like David's art, and he has a tendency to he can draw very, he's very good with the realism, whether it's expressions and faces, but he can also do he can make it fun with some manga-esque expressions and some of the actions or reactions of some of the characters. But Marquez is the sole reason why I wanted to check out the Unchosen. These 4 issues that I believe are going to be collected or about to be collected. 'Cause the 4th issue just came out, I think, last week. But the Unchosen is I as I was reading it, I don't even know if I really would have needed 4 issues for this. As much as I love David's art, there is room to grow as a writer. I feel this is as far as my money goes. This is a good start, and we are introduced to a young woman who basically doesn't have much of a memory of a time before she arrived at this, not a mystical palace, but basically kind of like a school. And it's a school where the power is in the word, and you have students in this school, and she's a young. I don't know if she's a teenager. I don't know if Ada is a teenager or if she's a young teenager. But she doesn't have. call on the word. Her power doesn't kick in when she necessarily needs it to, and she's not sure really why she's here. There is a there is one. There's Brother Riley. He's basically he's looking after her. He's basically he feels basically like he's her guardian, and he knows Ada's mother, and Ada just wants to know what the hell happened to her mom. She while doing all of the while she's trying to learn in this school, in this environment, she of course is getting picked on, she's getting bullied, but there's another group that also wants Ada, because the people who you think might be bad guys may not be bad guys, and they're not a fan of what goes on in this school. This is I'm purposely kind of just jumping around because I am even flipping back through the first issue again. I'm such a fan of this art. I want others to kind of experience it. I don't want to. I don't just want to kind of like zip through the issues and talk about the story overall. But it's good versus evil, but you may not know who exactly which side is which. And I'm along for the ride because I want to see where the way the first arc ends. You're left. You may be left with as many questions as Ada, and so I am just. I kind of got sucked in, thanks to the visuals, but there's enough here that I feel that I feel that there's enough here for the start of something that can really be a fun ride. So it was something that I just completely decided to try on a whim. No expectations. I had absolutely no. It was solely Marquez's name. I didn't even look at the solicits. I saw the cover, I saw his name, and I started flipping through it, and the art just kind of sucked me in. So I will definitely be back for the start of the next story to see how things are progressing. This isn't. This isn't blowing the doors off of anything else right now, but as far as me trying something because I just wanted to give it a shot, I am very happy that I did. Again, I think it looks great. The visuals alone have me just really, really impressed with this, and I think Marquez can tell a fun story with these characters, with this setting, with the concept. So yeah, I wanted to give it a shot, and I'm really glad I did. Yeah, the whole concept of the word, and there's this mysticism involved, and maybe not so much sorcery, but there's the idea that formed that Marquez wants to play with. I think it's malleable, and I think there's going to be fun in the future for fun might not be the right word considering what goes on in the issues, but I think the concept is ripe, and there's something that he can latch onto and grow from here. So I'm keeping an eye on it to see if it becomes something larger and a lot more interesting. But I think as far as a start, I had a bit of fun with it.
Nice, yeah. It's interesting. This is a weird book. Like it's in that it's like thematically there's a lot of familiar tropes kind of blended together, right? Like it's got the Harry Potter vibe, right? This school far away for, to train powered kids and for a bigger purpose. And this idea that Ada is the chosen one of some kind, like above and beyond than the rest of the kids, even though, as far as she can tell, she really doesn't have much use or access to these powers yet. but like you said, I mean, the twist here, of course, is this idea that maybe the school's up to no good, and that, and in fact, the people that they're saying they're rescuing her from are in fact the good ones, and she has to pick a side, and so it kind of feels a little bit like the like back in the day, like the New Mutants versus the Hellions, right? And like maybe neither side's good or evil; they just have different purposes that define their own morality. I thought that the art, it's interesting. Like, I thought that Marquez's art is really fascinating to me because I feel like sometimes it looks almost like chibi anime, and then other times it looks like super like 90s or like Silvestri era, like hyper like detailed imagey. So it's like it's weird. Like, it's weird to me. It kind of feels like it floats in between those styles, depending on the whether it's a like a conversation about the kids having sort of emotional expressions, in which it looks more anime chibi-ish, and then battle scenes look more. So it's interesting. I mean, again, but I agree with you. I think Marquez is a very talented artist. I think you're right in saying it's. I'm not clear yet on whether the story's a banger or not. Right? Like, it's a fairly simple premise in these first 4 issues. Like, it's girl has powers. People want to use her powers for some purpose. One side says the other side is evil and you should avoid them. The other side says, no, they're the evil ones. You should avoid them and be with us. And she has to choose. And I would imagine, there'll be some twists and turns. My guess is she ultimately has to just act in her own best interests, away from either side, but we'll see. But yeah, I think in terms of what it was, it definitely was it was an entertaining yarn for sure, and an easy read. So yeah, kudos to you for turning me onto that, because we get all the Image books, and admittedly, even though we read a lot of comics, I don't generally have time to read all the Image books. So I do try and choose between them, and I, like I said, I would have probably skipped over this one had you not put me on it. So kudos to you, sir.
Nice. Well, thank you. Yeah. No, I like you said, we get a ton, whether it's Image, whether it's Dark Horse, whether it's Boom, anybody who sends us stuff. We do, and I'm thankful for it, because it gives me an idea of what I need to add to the pull list, or maybe wait and see what'll be collected. But yeah, this was a nice surprise, and yeah, you're spot on with the I like the chibi remark, and yeah, the 90s Image is extremely fitting. But yeah, I'm sure Marquez is digital. I have no idea what his commission rates might be like, but I would not be upset if I saw him at a con and there was a list that I could get on. But yeah, what else we got?
Well, like you said, it's Image-O-Rama. So I think that the book I've been, well, I don't want to say, I was about to say most excited for. That's not fair. There's lots of books I'm enjoying, but one of the books that I've been most excited for, issue to issue, and have been reading them as they come out. I haven't been letting them stack up. And the three of us went super deep on the first issue of this series, and we're now through 5 issues, and that is Exquisite Corpses, which of course is written by James Tynion IV, who writes every fucking book these days, it seems like, and art by Michael Walsh. And as we said with the first issue, Michael has always been a great artist. We've had him on the show. I own a bunch of art from him. So he's always been great, but he's reached a whole new level with this book, in my opinion. And then I think this is a book, too, where Jordi Belair, who, again, colors all the books, I think she really shines in this book, because I think the color palette of this book and the sort of video game-esque cutaway scenes for the characters, I think all are an important part of the storytelling. And I think that's where a colorist here is shining in a way that they often don't get to shine. So this really is a group effort, and I think a quote-unquote, no pun intended, exquisite effort. We're through 5 issues now, and I have to say, I love every single one of these issues. I think it is nuanced and layered and well executed, and I think that they're giving a good amount of time for every character, including the protagonists, which are the townspeople that are stuck here in Oak Valley while the slaughter is happening. I think we're getting lots of time, at least maybe not necessarily knowing a lot about what makes each of them tick, but we're seeing a lot of time with each of the killers. And I like that they are being deliberate in the pace with which these killers interact and die. So yeah, I mean, I think this is everything that we said about this on the first issue, and how excited we were for the premise and the setup and the visual layout, and to me continues apace. I think that you never want to lay down a verdict on something before it's finished. So there's still much that still has to unfold here. So I'm not going to like make any grand proclamations about this yet, but it is on pace to be one of the 10 things I talk about when we do our 11 Oscars, when we do our 10 favorite things. It definitely is on pace for that. Now, again, a lot can change, good or bad, depending on how the rest of the series plays out, because we still have, more killers are alive than not. Most of the key townspeople that we've been told we should be rooting for and our heroes are all still alive. So I assume there's lots of death and mayhem still to come, and depending on how all of that is executed and who ends up winning, quote unquote, at the end, will shape ultimately what I think of the series. But so far, so great, man. I think this is, for my money, this right now is the best Tynion book on the shelves.
I think I would have to agree with you. I think it has, and I don't know if just because it's been going on for a long enough time now. I still enjoy it. I'm still glad it exists. Department of Truth is there, and it's still one of my favorite books by James. But as far as what I look forward to, the book that I always have to read when I see it comes out that week, Exquisite Corpses is right there. I love Walsh's framing, because he's continuing to draw the 13 families watching the events unfold, and then whichever artist is tagged for that particular issue, they take care of everything that's that goes down in the town. Like, so the fourth issue, the Adam Gorham art, I absolutely loved that issue. That was there was enough there where even the stuff that wasn't necessarily violent, there was still that scary factor. There was still that the things you don't see. If in your imagination, it could just be that much worse. And Gorham did a really interesting job in spooking me out a bit. The art in the fifth issue by Claire Rowe, little different still. I mean, but still aesthetically, they're all similar. They seem to follow a similar style. So nothing is so, you're not going from, Gene Colan to Alex Ross from issue to issue. Everything pretty much feels like it's within this world. The artists are all compatible. Even the Landros art in the third issue, which reminded me more of not. I can't even think. I'm drawing a blank on the artist who I want to say the art reminds me of for the third issue, but I seem to be off tonight. Anyway, the series is a lot of fun. We thankfully we still have the brackets at the back of the issue, so we know exactly where everybody stands. It's a lot of fun, and I even if the idea is to scare the townspeople, another killer dies, and then it's on to the next issue. How it all plays out for me, this is I'm ecstatic about the journey with this book. I may know where I may know where we're going to end up, but I'm along for the ride. That's the fun part for this particular series for me. I think this is a lot of fun because it's so bonkers, and the way you've got characters who, because of the cachet of weapons that everybody has to try to find, and the fifth issue had a sort of kind of a team up, and I'm going to leave it there. It's just, I don't know what to expect with this issue other than, yes, people are going to die, but the way they go about things, the way they set things up, because of the the resources that these killers have, and what's at their disposal. The warped ideas that come from the minds of people like James or whoever may be writing it, who's writing it with him for that particular issue, whether it's Bel Air or Pornsack or Walsh or anybody else. I don't know. I'd love to find out. I'd love to sit in the room and find out just if they're sitting around going, who can be more creative, whether Che Grayson or Jordy can come up with the most bonkers way for someone to die in an issue. I'd love to know if they may have a competition amongst the writers and to see, just who's going to go. It's insane. And it's a wild ride, and I am so here for it, and I'm glad this book exists.
Yeah, for sure, man. I mean, my only worry is that we don't, because we're so early in the killing, that we're going to have to, feel like it's super rushed at some point to get everything done.
Because we're still in season 1, I don't quite know the idea behind the concepts of the seasons for this. So I don't know if this bracket of however many year 13 or so, however many are in this, so however many killers are in this tournament, if there's what's going to happen in the second season. I don't know if this first season is just this particular night and these killers, or if we're going to get halfway through and then season 2, I don't know. I have no idea what this crew has in store. So I think it's happening quickly because we're going to get through season 1. So maybe season 1 is just 13 issues, and then that's the end of this particular tournament. But I don't know if there's another tournament going on somewhere else in the country, because the idea behind these families were that these are the oldest families in the country, and they're continuing this tradition from way back when. I don't know if something else may be going on somewhere else in the country, another tournament, and maybe that's going to be season 2. I don't know where we're going, and that's part of the fun for me.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I mean, I would be pretty disappointed if we don't get the winner of the tournament by the 13th issue. I would, that would make me feel some kind of way, but yeah, I mean, I guess we'll see. But either way, like I said, I'm going to reserve my final judgment until I see how it ends. But so far, it's been one of my favorite things, and one of the few things that I read as it comes into my inbox. I generally let things stack up, at least by arc, and let an arc complete and then read it. But this I feel like I do when we used to run to the store and read whatever came out. This is definitely something that as soon as I know I have a new issue, I want to make sure I read it. So.
Same. Now I am not reading Falling in Love on the Path to Hell. I'm waiting on that. So I'd love to hear more about it.
I sometimes feel like I'm the only one reading it, honestly.
Yeah.
I have no idea how well it's selling. I hope well enough that they keep doing it. But I don't feel like many people out there are talking about it. I don't think too many of our crew in the EOC community are talking about it. I mean, there are a few, but it's certainly for me, it's an incredible book, and interestingly enough, had it been fucking easier to hear at the Speakeasy, I would have talked Jerry's ear off about it, because Jerry Duggan is the writer, and of course Gary Brown is the artist. It's a mindfuck of a book. I mean, as I probably, or as I did talk about when the series launched, the premise is these two badasses are a female samurai and a badass Western gunslinger are both killed, and they end up in hell, and they end up being partnered up in this grand, Homer-esque epic journey where they're going through hell, fighting a fight, which I want to be vague about, because the premise of the fight and why they're fighting, who they're fighting, is definitely something that is best experienced. But It's just a book where, I mean, a couple things. One, I've always loved Gary's art, but I think he's really taking a bold leap in the way he's approaching this book. It's a far looser book in many ways than his prior work, and I think it actually serves the story well because it's a ethereal, dreamlike state where you don't know if hell is in their minds and how much of it is manifest in their own fears and angst versus is it real, right? Because it's obviously not of this earth. So I think that the way he addresses his line work, and it's a lot of cross hatching, a lot of loose, confident, pencils that are barely inked over. It's just a really beautiful style. He definitely also like there's a part in the book as they're falling in love where they're fucking, and it's very very sexy, but it's also amazing the way he draws it because our heroine, she, as I said, she's a samurai. She's killed by sword, and she's on top riding our hero, and they're both naked, and like you can see like just these huge scars across her chest and her breasts, from like where she would have been sliced. And it's just an interesting visual choice because obviously these are not like their physical bodies, right? Like these are their manifestations in the afterlife. So it's fascinating to me that he chose to draw their bodies in such a way where you see the scars that from their death. And so it was just an interesting little touch that he did. And I was like, that's really masterful because again, there's no reason to do that. And then like there's even like a scene where in one of the issues where like after they have sex, like he draws the sperm entering her egg, as a splash page. I mean, he's definitely taking a lot of artistic chances in the book, which I think is it's laudable. For me, I think it's great to see. But we are 10 issues in, I think. Yeah, 10 issues in. And it's just fun, man. And one of the things, of course, that serves the book well for me is that I love Western stories. I love Old West and gunslingers, and I love samurais. And it's interesting talking about the book now because for you video gamers out there, the long-awaited sequel to Ghost of Tsushima, Ghost of Yotei, just arrived, and the protagonist in Ghost of Yotei is a young female Ronin, and she looks remarkably like our protagonist in this book, and is of similar ilk. So, all very cool conceptual continuity in my life right now. But yeah, it's just a fun. It's like anytime you're dealing with a story that's set in like in another world, in a fantasy world, in this case being hell. The fun thing is you have this ability to do kind of cross-genre stuff, right? So obviously the very premise of this book is these two very different walks of life working together, but they're not alone. I mean, there's a I guess he would be Arabian. There's like an Arabian character, someone who's in a turban, but from kind of the Arabian Nights era of stories, and and then there's a barbarian kind of Conan-esque that wears a bone mask and a fur cape and a loincloth, and it's just like it's a chance for Gary to stretch his stuff visually in telling this grand good versus evil epic. So I just think it's awesome, man. And again, I think a big part of why I think it's awesome is the psychedelic, loose, scratchy style with which Gary has chosen to tell the story. And it's a nice evolution of his art. And I think for some reason it's just not getting a ton of attention. I just don't. Yeah, I'm not sure why. I will note that at the end of the 10th issue, Jerry said that, as we've come to the end of 2025, we've completed 10 chapters of Falling in Love on the Path to Hell, and we're not done yet. But we are taking a little break to retool and give Gary and the team an appropriate amount of time to finish the back end of what we're calling Book 1 of this adventure. We'll be back later in 2026 and running hopefully uninterrupted to the end we've been planning for these lovers since the inception of the story. The good news is we'll be executing on the book exactly as we had always hoped. and had the news that we'll be off shelves for the first part of 2026. The best news: we're going to be crowdfunding an art book for the first volume. It'll contain your best and likely only options and original art from Gary. So yeah, so there you go. So the good news is it's doing well enough that they'll be able to tell the story in the pace and with the completeness that they intended, which is all you ever want to see. So yeah, so it's great, man. Like it's one of those books that I think is the kind of thing I crave these days. It's a book that's unlike anything else I'm reading, but in a visual style that I find appealing. It's well paced. Again, there's just the right amount of sexy time, tons of violence, tons of intrigue. Yeah, so it's a home run for me, and I would love if other people joined me for the ride. It would be great. Come along, everybody. I don't know what's keeping you.
The water's fine. Come on in.
Yeah, absolutely, man.
I will, because I am a big fan of Jerry Duggan. One of the things I got to talk to him about very briefly, I'm surprised he could hear me Thursday night, was Dead Eyes, the book he was doing with John McCrae, and had a lot of fun with that. I do like Jerry's stuff. He admits that he's extremely lucky with the collaborators he has on his books. No lies detected there. So there's no reason why I shouldn't be reading Falling in Love on the Path to Hell. It's just so many hours in the day, but there's been enough issues out where I need to just jump in and get going with it, because I like the art, big fan of the writer, so the concept sounds wild. I will get on it, absolutely.
Nice. So why don't we talk about the Power Fantasy, because we both are up to date on it, and it is another book that I think is deserving of high praise, yet based on the comments from Kieran at the end of issue 12, which wraps up the third arc, it too is not selling as well as I think it should be.
Agreed, yeah. Yeah, he does mention that in the back matter, so much so that and yes, it is the end of the third arc, probably one of the biggest arcs, and each arc has built from one to the next. They've gotten bigger and better and more impactful. The end of this latest arc was a big kick. There was something heavy, no pun intended, happening, and I am excited to see where we go from here. And Kieran says that the way things are right now, it would make for a fine ending. The story could end with the next arc. It could end before they could walk away, like after issue 16, and it would still tell a nice story. But there is more to do within this time frame. There's more stories to tell with these characters in this world, so they could go up to another. They could go to 30 and possibly beyond, depending on sales. So we would like more people checking this book out. It looks great. It's some of Casper's best work to date, as far as I'm concerned, and it's an absolutely wild ride from Kieran. So I would love for more people to be reading it, because I do. While I think a nice contained finite story would be great, these characters I feel need to go beyond 16, beyond 18, 20 issues. But yeah, this was a crazy arc. There are we're finding things, and speaking of back matter, props, kudos, whatever you want to say to Kieran, because even though we may be reading one issue after another, if you're binging them, that's great. But as we said more than once tonight, we do read a lot of books, and they're, whether stories can kind of blur, or depending on how much time is between issues, because with a lot of Image books, you'll get that skip month so they can do the collection. You may you may forget things here and there, and you may forget exactly which side of the angels a character may be on, or maybe where they align, where their powers are. And somebody recently, in the letters page to the Power Fantasy, they had requested, they had asked if it's going out of bounds by suggesting maybe a recap or at least a roll call page, so you know exactly where everything is. And to Kieran's credit, the last couple of issues they've implemented that, and I like the design of it. And he's even mentioned that the design can be manipulated and we can move things around, so it's not so rigid. So you know exactly in the last couple of issues, and hopefully going forward, you'll know exactly who the players are, where they are in the grand scheme of things. So that's great. I definitely appreciate that. But oh man, I was not expecting certain things to happen in these last couple of issues, and it's been nuts. And I don't know. I really do not know what to expect in this world, because we're playing in a certain time frame. The late 40s up to, or the mid to late 40s up to 1999. That's, Kieran says, that's the year that these stories all take place within. 1945 with the birth of the first atomic, and we'll end, or at least there'll be no stories beyond 1999. So we even within that time frame, even knowing what we know within that time, and with the characters we've already been introduced to, I still have no idea. And what I love about it is that we do bounce around. It's not a linear story. The first issue didn't take place in 1945, and we're just going, month by month or whatever is happening. We're bouncing around between 89 back to 47, back to 60s, and I appreciate. There are some stories where I'm not grooving to that, but for this, I'm here for it. This is this arc just it blew my mind, and that's not, it's not a pun. That's not just me trying to make fun of anything that happened within the issue, but this was a big arc, and I'm surprised that the things that happened within it happened within it.
Yes, that's a carefully chosen way of saying what happened. Yes. Yeah, I mean, I will say that this is, well, it's not dissimilar to a lot of Kieran's books. I love Kieran's work. I will say, though, I understand that not every writer is for everyone, and I think with Kieran, if you compare this to The Wicked and Divine or many of his other books, his non-Big Two books, I think there's a style to his storytelling which I enjoy, but I think for some I can understand, like it's wordy. He basically tells soap operatic stories with fantastical supporting environments, right? And he definitely seems, we've never had him on the show. I'd love to. I've always said that. I still would love to. He seems to have a real fascination or a hard-on for the idea of power and how it is both perceived by those who don't have it, and how those who do have it wield it and find it less a gift than those who don't have it might perceive it to be. I think, again, while The Wicked and the Divine is an entirely different vibe, it really speaks to the same kind of thing. Like it's thematically, to me, very, very similar territory. And I think that the thing here is that he suffers no fools. Like, you have to really, this isn't a book you can skim. You can't just read it real quick and be like, okay. I mean, the reward in the book, in as much as if you want to put in the time, is very much immersing yourself in it such that you really do understand the nuances of their 50 years of relationships and the betrayals and shifting alliances and duplicitous nature of all these characters. I think that as a surface level story, this is not once and future, right? Like this is not his X-Men work. I think the reward here is very much in the depths of the story and the depths of these characters. Which is asking, I think, I was going to say it's asking a lot. I don't know if it's asking a lot, but it's asking of a different type of comic book consumption than I think many people are used to when they pick up a single issue and read it. And so, maybe translated, simpler way of saying is this is a book that probably rewards you sitting down and reading it in big chunks. I find it absolutely fascinating. Like you said, I think Casper's art's never been better. And again, that's not a disrespect to Casper. I think we've always been fans of his work from Jump. So I'm saying he's always been very good. Now he's even better. I think that the stuff that's happened, particularly in this arc, was jaw dropping. And I really do love this idea of a world where you have a half dozen godlike beings instead of hundreds or thousands like we get in Marvel and DC, right? Because there is the idea that when you have 1,000 superheroes, none of them feel particularly special, right? And I think in this world, the very crux of it is that they are so very rare that they are in fact gods, and as a result, are feared by everybody, including, most importantly, those with power, right? The governments. I mean, the governments are absolutely petrified of them and will do anything they can to either allay them as threats and more likely destroy them if they could. And we get glimpses of that, right? We see that. And so it's really a constant state of détente, a constant state of mental chess between each other, between the superpowers, between, the atomics, between the atomics and the world leaders, and I love all of it, and even though it is a very political book, it's not suffering from that thing that a lot of books do where I'm feeling like, oh god, I'm living through this political hellscape, I don't want to deal with it. This definitely feels different than that, and I give him credit. Like I think Kieran is of like mind with a lot of the world's his views on social politics, and so he probably too didn't want to make a story that was going to feel a little too on the nose. This isn't about fascism. This isn't about, this is an entirely different power fantasy, right? Which I think is great because it could have gone in a direction that would have felt very heavy and a little too close to home with where we are right now as a society. So I love that this does feel escapist, at least for me. So yeah, this is just incredible, and I will say that I give him credit because I didn't see either of the two big reveals of this arc, which I guess we're not going to spoil, but the two major reveals I didn't see coming. I didn't see either coming, so I give him credit that he got me twice. I didn't. Both were like total jaw on the floor aha moments. I was like, no shit. So that's pretty cool because that's hard to do for grizzled veterans like ourselves reading a lot of books. Needless to say, I'm with you. While I will certainly, if this does end up being 16 issues and this next arc is the last arc, I'll no doubt enjoy the experience very much. But I selfishly hope that enough people, keep buying the book or start buying the book such that we can get, 24 or 30 issues. Because to hear a writer of Kieran's caliber tell me in the back matter that he could go 30 on this if he had the support, I wanted to go 30. So in as much as our little show has any kind of impact on sales, and again, I think with the numbers that we're talking, we probably can help. If you're not giving this book a try, give it a try. I really do think it's of extremely high quality. I think Kieran is one of the best writers of his generation, and I think that if you love me and Dap, you will buy this book because it will mean that there's more of this book. So prove that you love us, people.
Next up, we did also catch up on the Joshua Williamson written G.I. Joe, and that was not a, I'm not gonna call it a filler arc, but it was illustrated by Andrea Milana, Lee Loughridge on colors, and it wasn't really an away mission, but it was Baroness and CoverGirl taking some time. Baroness needed some R&R. She was going to go to Paris, so CoverGirl was sent to go with her, to accompany her, make sure she stays out of trouble, and that gave Major Blood an opportunity to go after his revenge on Baroness for taking his eye in a previous issue, and also gave us Raptor. But while that was going on, we get even more fun with Clutch, who of course returned with a Jeep that maybe is more than meets the eye to the Jeep, but you have you then have Pretty Boy Risk, who so Clutch, after escaping, getting back to headquarters after leaving Cobra and during the melee there, he goes back because his vehicle needs, because Hound needs some energon, and so they're going to go back to whence they came, and Risk is going to follow Clutch because for whatever reason Risk doesn't trust Clutch, even though Clutch is pretty much one of Duke's oldest friends, and there's no reason why you shouldn't trust your commander's bestie. But Risk goes after Clutch, and naturally, because he didn't tell anybody that he was going after him, things really don't go all that well for our heroes initially. This was the art was great, but I had a lot of fun watching this relationship with Baroness, with CoverGirl, seeing them try to get out of this situation, seeing not the relationship, the cooperation more or less between Destro and Cobra Commander, maybe foster a little bit. This was there's just I'm still enjoying this G.I. Joe book. I'm unfortunately more than a few issues behind on the Hammer stuff. There's also in a previous issue, and they were teased again here in the most recent one, the basically the Task Force X, or the dark version of X-Force of G.I. Joe, those that work without the knowledge of they're basically was General Flagg's crew that even Duke isn't aware of, and then we're going to, I guess, be introduced to Shooter, which is her code name. But I'm reading. I want to read G.I. Joe because I want to see the action. I want to see I want to see G.I. Joe versus Cobra, and we're still, while there is some action, we're still almost a year in. Still kind of, even though we were given at least three limited series prior to this series, it still feels like we're still setting things up. We're not there yet. We're not established. Everything is still in the building stage, even though we're 2 years into the Transformers run, and that seems to be a little bit more not involved or beyond, but that's based on what DWJ set up, and now Kirkman's going to continue. That seems to be a little bit better or more established than this G.I. Joe series, which I feel there's been so much going on up to this point that I feel we should be further along than where we are. I'm still enjoying the stories, but as far as the whole part of the Energon universe and G.I. Joe versus Cobra, I feel we should maybe be a little bit more. We should be further beyond in the story than where we are after 11 or so issues.
This may be a hot take, but I'm going to say it. G.I. Joe is the worst Energon Universe book.
Okay.
And again, I'm not saying I don't enjoy it for what it is, but I'm with you 100%. I think for as much Joe comics as we've gotten now, and you have to include all those, like you said, those 4 minis that came before, I feel like not a lot's fucking happened, including, most importantly to me, that we don't have a team yet. This is still like a ragtag group of characters who don't trust each other, barely know each other. The chain of command, it doesn't seem like they really understand Duke's motivations, whether they should follow him and he's their leader. You know, you've got this Night Force contingent who are, I guess, like keeping an eye on the current Joe team just in case, so, like, they don't trust them. And it's like, you know, you got Hawk who's got it just feels like there's this subterfuge and like all these random people who don't really like each other or know each other. And so it's like, to me, that's not what G.I. Joe is about. Like, G.I. Joe is about this group of soldiers who are brothers in arms. They're a band of brothers. They absolutely love and adore each other, and they trust each other implicitly, and they fight for a unified common ground with complete and utter belief in one another. Like, that's G.I. Joe, you know, and they have a common enemy, which is Cobra. And it's like, Cobra has duplicity, Cobra has distrust, because they're, again, the evil guys. And it's like, I close every issue of this book thinking, what are they trying to do? I don't know, like, tonally it just feels so weird to me. Like, you have like you said, this arc where the Baroness, who is G.I. Joe in this book, which is cool. Like, I like that. I like the idea of making part of G.I. Joe because it's different. But, like, okay, you got the Baroness, but they don't trust her, but she's still part of G.I. Joe. And then she goes off on this little excursion, and so CoverGirl goes with her because she needs a chaperone. And then, like you said, Major Bloods, sets this trap, and it basically makes them fight to the death. He makes CoverGirl and Baroness fight to the death, but the auspice is, well, if you don't fight to the death, or you don't fight to hard, then Raptor is following your Baroness's parents and is going to kill your parents. And it's like, okay, but like you're a mercenary of like this global terrorist force. Like, why wouldn't you just kill her parents to get her back?
Yeah.
Like, right? Like, okay, and then you want to take her eye, so why wouldn't you just fight her and take her eye, right? Like, it's just, and then she, and then like Baroness and CoverGirl fight, and all of a sudden, it's like, oh, I killed her, and she's like laying there in the pit, and he's like jumps down in the pit, like, oh, this is great, and it's like, you didn't think maybe that she's faking the death, like that didn't occur to you, like that, like you're supposed to be a world-class paramilitary mercenary, like one of the world's best military, like military minds, and you fall for the okey doke of a person faking to be knocked out. Like, it just feels corny. And then they come back from this trip, and then they're like, oh, hey boss, we're back. And it's like, oh, do you have a black eye? And she's like, yeah. It's just like, I don't know, man. It totally feels all over the place. And again, to your point, like, what's the crescendo? What are we building towards? Like, it seems like we keep alluding to this idea that they're using Energon and that the robots are involved. And yes, I mean, obviously, as you noted, Clutch and Hound is in the book, and we've seen Starscream in the book, and but like, I don't know, like I just, to what end? I just ask myself, to what end? What are all these people doing together? What is their mission? What is their mandate? What is going to, and we're like almost 2.5 years into this build up. I mean, it's a long time. So, I wish I didn't believe what I'm saying, because in my perfect world, G.I. Joe would be the best Energon universe book. And I think it is objectively the one I least enjoy. I got done talking about Transformers last week, and I thought I thought the first 24 issues with D-Dub were phenomenal. I thought the 25th issue was a very strong handoff. I think Void Rivals has been excellent. I know we haven't talked about that book in a while. I'll try and read it that soon, but it's been excellent. And yeah, so I don't know, man. Like again, I don't dislike it like enough to not keep reading it. But I just keep hoping for more, and I don't know how much longer we should wait or should have to wait for more. So yeah, it's a conundrum for sure.
I totally get it. Yeah. And I mean, and especially, and you are, of the three of us, it's been said, with no dispute, that you are the biggest Joe Mark. And yeah, I mean, for me to feel that way, I can only imagine how somebody who is so involved and appreciates the whole legend behind it, that it bums me out that it's not meeting your expectations.
Yeah, not making the toes curl for sure, but that's okay. I mean, again, not every book can be the best book, right? I mean, if every book was the best book we were reading and a phenomenal book, then it would feel like we don't really know what we're talking about, right? Because like there has to be a scale of things. There have to be books that you don't like, books that you like enough to keep reading, but they're not curling your toes, and then books that are knocking you on your ass, right? That's just the nature of consuming as much of this stuff as we do.
You're right. You're absolutely right. And I
now,
think...
what
Yep.
of all of the Image-O-Rama? Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
No. Go ahead. No, it was you. I didn't mean to cut you off.
Of all of the Image-O-Rama books on our collective list, the one that I am behind on, but not because I'm not enjoying the book, is the Tin Can Society, which I know you've championed multiple times already. So I assume 8 is the most recent issue because I see you read 7 and 8.
Yes, 9 is the finale, and
okay.
So we got a 9-issue miniseries, and the way the series started, there was a lot of feints. There was some sleight of hand and things that were presented in one way are not how they appear. The series starts off with our hero, the hero we eventually find out to be who is the hero, has been killed, and that's really spoilers. That's not the case at all. There's more involved in that. It becomes a little bit more of a of like company industrial espionage, as on top of all the secrets that are being that are being kept, and other characters kind of brought in to expand on what they're all building towards. The 9th issue, there isn't a whole lot to really go into with 7 and 8, because the Tin Can Society, they're all finding things out as it plays out. They're realizing that people they thought were dead aren't dead, that they're now alive, and the relationships that came about weren't necessarily maybe built on lies, but obviously there's some trust issues here. But the main it looks like what's going on is that our hero, who created this suit that basically let him be a vigilante and fight crime, his company is being swallowed, and now the new CEO, the person in charge, is going to create a whole fleet of these armored soldiers, and is going to open the bidding to all the countries to see who wants what, and that's not going to do well. going to make other countries fare very well or be too high up on the pecking order. So our heroes of the Tin Can Society are going to try to put a stop to that. Unfortunately, the way the 8th issue is playing out, it's not going according to plan. It is not. They're whatever they thought was going to happen doesn't seem to be happening, and I just need to read the last issue to find out how they're going to get out of this. And reading some of this dialogue, seeing how things are, seeing the big bad and our heroes and everybody's reactions, talking about this following the G.I. Joe talk we just had. The bad guy, the whole James Bond aspect of, instead of Major Blood just killing them, but instead I'm going to tell you my entire story and you're going to find a way out of it. The bad guy here, or bad gal, seems to be a little smarter than Major Blood. She doesn't seem to suffer too many fools. There is, I'm sure there's a way out of this, but the way it's being set up and the way all these guns, all these gun nozzles, all these bullets are pointing towards our heroes, I don't know if everybody's going to survive this. It's not necessarily Butch and Sundance, but I can see either sacrifices or just straight up executions happening in the 9th issue. I'd like to see some of these characters, all of these characters, make it out, but the way the 8th issue is set up, unless they pull a MacGuffin or something and change it so that now all of a sudden what I just read in the end of the 8th issue is way different than the start of the 9th issue. I'm curious to know how they're going to get out of it. So in that sense, the Warren and Mobley have me for that reason, because I got to see how we get out of this. I don't know. I don't know if we necessarily, again, I'm not an editor. I don't know if we necessarily needed 9 issues to get here, or at least 8 issues and then the 9th, but it's the way some of the mystery has been revealed. I can see why it was deliberate in the pacing of the story. But now that we have the big finale, I'm real curious to see how everybody gets out of this. It's an interesting title. And because you talked about the first issue, I checked it out. But it is one of Remender's Giant Generator books. The story is by Rick and Peter Warren, although Peter Warren is the sole writer of the series. It's the art's great. And a lot of action. I dig the concept of this armored hero and overcoming his disability and of course and his friends, and it's a very diverse book, and I like the characters in it, and there's some of it that feels the way their story's presented, the way they overcome each of their individual challenges. You've got you've got the jock, the star quarterback from high school, and everybody had to overcome something. Or if they were a great star back in the day, they've obviously fallen on hard times in recent years. So you get some of that real world aspect to the book mixed in with the with the science fiction and the fantastical. But yeah, seeing how this all wraps up in the 9th issue will basically determine whether or not this was a very entertaining and enjoyable read, or if it lands with a deadening thud. But I'm hoping, based on the way things are going, that we'll get we'll maybe get some sort of big Expendables type resolution, or at least action. So I'm optimistic, but yeah, it's had its when I say it's had its ups and downs, that's as far as the roller coaster of emotions it'll take the reader on. It story wise, it's been fairly consistent. I'm not upset about how everything's been playing out. It's but yeah, you think you're doing one thing, you're going along with one ride, but it can zag pretty quickly and fairly easily, it seems. But it's leading up to the 9th issue, and that's what I want to see where we end up.
All right, right on. Yeah. I think I am through issue 5. So
Okay.
I will wait for the 9th to wrap up so that I didn't
Nice.
realize we were that close to the end. So
Yep.
yeah. Right on.
So I think we're approaching that time. So we're going to our In Your Travels. Before we get to that again, as always, this episode is brought to you by cheapgraphicnovels.com. Check out your specials there. Place your order. Make your first order with Max. Let them know 11 O'Clock Comics sent you. And your next order, you will get free shipping on that bad boy. So that second order is where you want to really stack up on those omnibus. So if you're Vander and you're looking for that Ghost Rider omnibus or your Squadron Supreme omnibus, that's where you're going to go. You've got the socials. You've got 11 O'Clock Comics on Patreon, patreon.com/11 O'Clock Comics. You can sign up there. You got different tiers. You can get the you can get the content on Patreon. You can join the Slack. We got the Facebook group. You heard from Vince tonight, and hopefully you will be hearing from him again real soon. We've got Baltimore Comic-Con this weekend. If you are going to be there, make sure you say hi to us. I double checked, and I forgot that Friday's an odd day because it starts in the afternoon and ends at 7. So
Yeah,
Friday
1 o'clock, right? Really weird.
Yeah. So we got so 1 to 7 Friday, 10 to whatever. I think it's 10, 6 or 7 on Saturday. We will
7 again.
we plan on being there for all 3 days, at least some of Sunday. We haven't talked that through yet, but definitely if you see us, say hi to us. Let us know what your plans are for the weekend. If there's if they're commissions, if there's any books you're looking for, and in your travels, I think I am going to actually no. Tin Can Society was going to be my In Your Travels. So if there. So we've got plenty of other Image books to remind you about. Definitely check out the Ghost Machine stuff. Red Coat has been a lot of fun. Jason and I talked about that recently. Hyde Street, we're getting some more insight on the residents of Hyde Street. None of them are nice people. Although I think of all of them, my favorite is probably aside from the monster is Mr. X-Ray. He's just trying to get by as far as I can tell. But everybody else, no bueno. So yeah, we've talked about Exquisite Corpses. We've talked about the Power Fantasy. We talked about all the good stuff. I do also just want to remind you of The Voice Said Kill by Cy Spurrier and Vanessa Del Rey. I am on the 3rd issue myself. I feel so bad for this young pregnant woman who's just trying to get through the day, and unfortunately, she's pretty much being held hostage because some not nice people are they found a submarine, and God knows what else they're planning on doing. So, in your travels, check out what Image has, like The Voice Said Kill, like This Ends Tonight by Jay Lee, which I am also in the middle of reading. Image has a lot of good stuff for you. So that is it for me. I'm not going to ramble on too much about that. And I'm going to let Jason take us out.
Right on. Well, I got a double dip for people.
Nice.
So I'll carry the baton for you. First of all, on the comic front, so interestingly enough, while we just got done sort of quasi burying GI Joe, the titular book, I have praise for the other Energon or Skybound GI Joe book, and that is GI Joe: A Real American Hero. Now, recall when that book launched, we talked about it, and we talked about how Chris Mooneyham, the artist, is astounding. And I said at the time when that run started with Larry Hama and Chris doing the interiors that not hyperbole, he is the best GI Joe artist ever. I think there's never been a better looking GI Joe artist. And I really did fear that he wouldn't be on the book for that long. I figured he would do like a 6-issue run, kind of make the splash, and then move on to another project. So it is with great joy that that he's continuing to do this book, and we're all the way up now to issue 321. I believe the run under Skybound started back in like 307, 308. So we're going on 2 years here. Now you also may remember that I have damned this with faint praise at times because for as good as the book looks, and it looks as good as a G.I. Joe book has ever looked, I thought the story was wonky at times. I really wasn't into the first arc, which featured a bunch of the characters getting turned into like zombie versions of themselves, but they were still sentient, and it just didn't make a lot of sense to me. But again, that's neither here nor there. But what I did want to mention is that we just got issue number 321, which is my In Your Travels, and that is another silent issue. And you'll notice the numbering. It is 300 issues after the original silent issue, which is, of course, one of the most famous books of its era. And Chris draws it, and it is jaw-droppingly gorgeous. And the other cool thing is there's a lot of conceptual continuity here because the heroes of this silent issue are, of course, Snake Eyes, because he was the hero of the first one, and Don Moreno, who I assume many listeners know who that is, but for those of you that maybe aren't as steeped in the G.I. Joe lore, Dawn Moreno is also Snake Eyes. She was a female young Latinx woman who, comics being comics, was implanted by Cobra with the memories of the original Snake Eyes to help make her a trained assassin. And for a while, in the continuity in IDW, Snake Eyes was dead. He was, the original Snake Eyes was dead, and so she was Snake Eyes. She became Snake Eyes, and now in the current continuity, which again is all like one single continuity. That's the whole point of this. It's 321 out of from going all the way back to the Marvel book. The real Snake Eyes is back in the living, of course, but Dawn is still here. So they're partnered up. So the premise of this one is that a group of combatants that have built a blimp and have attached to the blimp a basically a weapon that is a sonic weapon. It uses sound to render people completely useless through incredible cerebral pain. And as it happens, lucky them, Dawn and Snake Eyes happen to be in a room at the very bottom of the pit wearing noise canceling ear gear because they're firing a weapon, training on a new weapon, and so they don't get affected by the sonic attack while all the other Joes are laid waste. And so the silent mission is they have to make their way back up from the bottom of the pit and find a way to take down the dirigible and save the Joes. And it is just an absolute delight. Silent comics are one of my favorite things. They're extremely hard to pull off, and when they're pulled off, they are magical. And I think that Mooneyham is just in his bag in this issue. I think it looks incredible. Every single panel looks incredible. It's a gripping story. And, we just got some silent issues, which I think we enjoyed. It's fair to say, Dap, you and I read them. We enjoyed most of them, if not all of them. So this isn't really like necessarily a new conceit because we got some silent missions just a couple months back. But this, to me, is the best silent book ever. I mean, putting aside the original because of how special that was. But this one just takes the cake. It was phenomenal. So In Your Travels, check out G.I. Joe, A Real American Hero 321, written by Larry Hama with incredible art by Chris Mooneyham. And then I will just leave you all with the fact that we are now, it is October 13th as we record this. It is officially spooky season. I use the month of October to binge on as many horror shows and movies as I can get my hands on. And as with any time that you binge stuff, it's going to be a mixed bag. Some of the shit's going to hit, some of it's not. But for those of you, because I know I'm not alone here, that are horror stuff to check out this time of year, I've got 2 recommendations for you cinephiles out there that are looking for horror. Because I've watched a lot of really bad stuff this month so far, so I'm gonna save you from all that, but I'm gonna give you 2 really good recommendations. One is Best Wishes to All, and it's directed by Yuta Shimatsu. It is a Japanese film that I believe was made in 2022 and released in Japan, but it is now available here in the U.S. Via Shudder. Which is the horror streamer. If you don't have Shudder, but you do have, it's also if you have AMC Plus, you can get it. I do AMC Plus for just a month for like $8 through Amazon Prime Video. It's very easy, so $8 gets you access to all this stuff for the month. But it's streaming on Shudder or AMC, and it is an incredible film. Again, it is in Japanese, so it's subtitled. But the premise is a young woman, a nursing student. She's probably in her early 20s. She goes back to a rural town to visit her grandparents, and she notices that things are super fucked up because they seem to have some kind of person in their house that they summarily torture and treat horribly, and yet act like it's totally normal. And it's this really fascinating psychological horror film that's a play on basically the wealth gap and how we sort of completely dismiss the bad outcomes that we play a role in foisting upon other people for our own pleasure. Very well executed and very strange in all the right ways. Kind of really felt honestly like it was a Junji Ito book or short story come to life, which is the highest compliment I can pay. So check out Best Wishes to All. And then probably my favorite of the horror flicks I've checked out this year, also a subtitled film. This is I believe it's a Dutch film. It's called The Ugly Stepsister, and it's Norwegian. Sorry, The Ugly Stepsister, and it is directed by Emily Blishfield, and it is a play on Cinderella, only told from the lens of the ugly stepsister, Elvira, and her quest to land the prince because her family is about to be destitute, and it is a incredibly eerie body horror film as she tries to undergo massive transformation of herself to be appealing to the prince, and it goes horribly wrong and in lots of ways. And it's one of those cringeworthy films that's also extremely well done and such a nice flip on its head of the Cinderella story. I just thought it was awesome. So that also is available on Shudder, and I would highly recommend both. So check out The Ugly Stepsister and Best Wishes to All if you want to get some really high quality horror flicks added to your roster.
Yeah, I need to. I'm not super big on the horror, but I know 'tis the season, so get in where you fit in.
That's right.
And on that note, boys and girls, we are going to leave you here. We will see you probably a regular time next week, so you might get an extra day or two longer between 1004 and 1005, but that's okay. We'll have Baltimore stuff to talk about. We'll have other book to talk about. I'm looking forward to it. I am really looking forward to this weekend. I need it, and I know my week is only going to get better now that we got to hear from Vince tonight. So thank you all, everybody, for tuning in, for checking this out. Apologies for the lagginess. I am going to do my damnedest to clean it up in post. I will. I'll do what I can. So please just bear with us. We are. It's been raining the past couple days. It's been windy. There's a nor'easter about. So things are there are some things that are beyond our control, unfortunately. But I'm going to hopefully make this palatable for your ears. So we will be back next week. Love you all. Talk to you all soon. And have a wonderful, wonderful night.
Peace.
That's it for that one.